Foxes and Wolves, a studio and event space in Costa Mesa, has been hosting get-togethers on Wednesday mornings of creatives in Orange County just to talk shop, and we have coffee and donuts, and recently started a speaker series called Connecting Things. It's going to be happening the first Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m., and the first one was with the girls from Hoodzpah. They are a killer design team, and they talked about bringing good attitudes in whatever you do. Enjoy.
So yeah, people with a bad attitude are always playing the victim card. Like every time you talk to them, they're like, they have, some sob story about why they couldn't get done whatever it was they were trying to work on, or how, somebody did them wrong or whatever it is. And it's just always this like flood of negativity coming from them. And when people are, have gratitude, they end up becoming leaders in their situation. So instead of becoming the victim and playing the woe is me card, they take the situation by the horns and find the solution and find a way to get the problem solved.
So it's the difference between making excuses and making do. And I know making do is always kind of like this bad connotation, like, oh, you just kind of did what you could. But really, I think making do is like the biggest thing you could do as a creative, is take an imperfect situation, take kind of less than what is needed, and make the best possible thing you can out of it. Because really, perfection doesn't exist in most senses of reality. It's never going to be the right time, the right place. So you're always going to have to make something do with what you have. And that's the ultimate creative, really, is being able to do that, not falling victim to what you don't have, but optimizing what you do have.
So yeah, when you have a bad attitude, you're always expecting perfection, which is unattainable. I mean, I don't know, everybody has a different definition of perfection, obviously, but I think if you instead expect optimization of your circumstance and your scenario, then you have this realistic expectation, and instead of being disappointed at the end because you didn't reach that perfect level, you're overjoyed at the end because maybe you exceeded, what you guys thought was realistic. And I think it just makes the difference in your attitude, in your project, in your clients' expectations. If you promise them the world and then don't deliver, that's never good. But if you make them realistic and then over-deliver, everybody's happy.
So the difference between having realistic expectations and just expecting that you're going to be able to optimize it better until it's better and better is the difference between failing and just having to fix something. So when you're always expecting that it's got to be this perfect outcome, then no matter what you do, you're always going to fail. And you're always going to be bummed. You're always going to be depressed because it's never good enough to the standards that you set. Whereas when you're just expecting that you're going to do the best you can and you're just going to keep optimizing it until you get to the level that you want, then all you're ever doing is fixing. It's such an easier route to take. It's such a smaller step. When you fail, you have to just gather, regroup, and just start from scratch. But when you're just fixing, you're just making one small step to getting closer to what you wanted initially.
So when you have a bad attitude, all those things lead to the bitterness. Instead of having the attitude of gratitude, and then you're in the attitude of gratitude, you're just constantly getting better. You're realizing how to work with your resources, how to make the most of every situation, how to just optimize, how to make things the best they can be with the limitations that you have. And Jen and I definitely had that with our company. We started with our own money, which was none, and and so it was, instead of just like focusing on the negative, we just tried to bootstrap and figure out ways to do really great things on next to nothing. And it made us get better and better, and it made us really great at finding the silver lining and finding the solution that is sometimes hard to find.
So in the end, after all that kind of chain of things, if you've been thankful and you haven't been the victim and you haven't been expecting everything from everyone, then you end up engendering good relationships because you're not always feeling let down by people. You didn't expect perfection. You expected them to do their best. So they're always surprising you. They're always, delivering because you know what they're capable of and you put them in that situation. Whereas when you have a bad attitude and you're always relying on other people to make the situation perfect, to make your project turn out whatever, it's when you start envying other people's success because you can never quite get where you want to go. So you're always looking at others and being like, oh, how'd they do it? Why couldn't I do it? You're just envying people, and it's not really great for creating a community and a team that trusts each other, that likes each other, that works well together. Whereas when you're just thankful for what people can do and thankful for them trying their hardest and doing what they can with the limited resources, I mean, you're in the trenches together. You create this bond, this blood bond between you.
So I guess one of the hardest things is when you're creative is comparing yourself with other people, right? You're always seeing somebody else doing something really cool, you wish you did it, or maybe you're thinking like, I should have got that job, I'm better, or whatever it is. And comparing is just so negative. It's the worst thing for you and for your creativeness. I think it's always good to look at other people and be inspired by them. That's a completely different thing. Like, oh wow, look what they did. I got to get a fire under my ass and like start moving because I can do cool shit too, or whatever it is. But just the comparing thing is always going to leave you just feeling less. So instead, just be confident. Like, know what your strengths are, know what you're good at. Sometimes that's through like taking projects and like figuring it out. But be confident in what you can do. There's nothing wrong with like saying, yeah, I'm good at this, and take it. And then that's different than just comparing yourself to other people and maybe even knocking other people down.
So the whole full circle of this is that if you're a victim and if you're always relying on others, you become just a passive stander. You're always waiting for something to happen. You're reacting. Whereas our ultimate goal as creatives is to create, is to be like this this little core that creates this reaction. You want to start the domino effect. But if you have a bad attitude, you're always kind of being at the end of the thing. You're always the one that everybody falls on. So instead, have that attitude of gratitude that makes do, makes the most, creates situations from impossible circumstances, and in the end, you become a fearless creative rather than fearfully. What was it? Emulating. Yeah, I wrote this last night. So, but I think that's like the ultimate goal, right? As creatives, you don't want to just be copying people because you think that that's just the formula for success that someone else has created. You've got to be able to just fearlessly go out, do your best, and learn from that and become like a really awesome creative. And that's our thing. So, anybody want to talk about it?
We kept it short just in case, we wanted to like open the floor.
Which one of you has the attitude and the other one the gratitude?
She's got the tattoos, which I think is just like obvious that she's attitude. Her prison tattoos. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Amy and Jen. Appreciate it. Yeah, maybe that's just something to think about this week and like how we go about kind of creating things.
One thing I've kind of started to put in my life is seeing it as like a garden where like it all starts in your mind and it all starts with a seed. And I think what you're getting at is like this longevity of like habits and what you're creating, in the sense of if you start with a bad seed, you're going to see the fruit of that seed become habits that and go in directions that you didn't even realize. And then you go down a path that you didn't understand that you would even see happen or unfold, where if you start with the seed of like gratitude, it's only going to create a path that is right for you, rather than seeing all these speed bumps, all these entanglements that you get on Instagram. And for me, I'm a tattoo artist, and it's a constant thing that we do. Is like we see other tattooers and we're like, look at that bad tattoo.
Right.
And you miss the effort that was applied by that tattoo.
Right.
If you were to see like their creativity in your fellow, designer, whatever it might be, photographer, you see the effort, you go, okay, I'm gonna reward the effort. Maybe the final product wasn't to my liking, but at least they're attempting, and at least they're putting it out there, and at least they're putting their name on it, like they're owning it, so to speak. Like, this is what I'm doing, and this is who I am. Like, you can start to see the changes in your own life where you're like, okay, if I have gratitude towards what they're doing, I'm gonna have gratitude in my own life, and then if I have gratitude in my own life, I'm gonna have gratitude towards others. It's they don't exist without the other.
Right.
I think that
Super true.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so stifling too when you're just always focusing on the negative, and it totally inhibits your creativity. So like sometimes when I'm really stressed out, I just take a break, take a breath, and just start thinking of things that I can be thankful for, and it helps you kind of like change your mindset, and you can start focusing on a solution rather than just like staring into that hole of a problem, So
how do you work on the culture? Because I know you guys manage people and you have managed people in the past. And how do you teach them this?
Yeah, I think this is the hardest part, because like we teach a class at LCAD called Professional Practices, and the kids have an excuse for everything. And there's one girl in particular, and I just want to be like, listen, there's just, at some point you're going to have to own your life, and things are going to happen, but you're going to have to figure out solutions to make that problem a solution, you know? And at some point people are going to stop taking your excuses and they're just going to fire you, you know? So you have to just make the best. You have to find solutions. You have to make things work, you know? And there's always a solution if you just like relax, you know, and take the time to breathe and just like think logically about things.
But I think definitely it's like leading by example, obviously, is the best thing you could do. Trying to find, you know, a way to spin things to where you can encourage instead of being like, oh, that sucks. It's like, I see what you did and I really like the thought process, but what if to do the same, you know, to get the same result, we went this way instead, and then, you know, it encourages them instead of they're like, oh, I can't do it, I don't know. So,
how do you manage expectations of students, like young writers too?
Well, it's hard because I think even most schools kind of err in the fact that they tell students that you shouldn't start doing anything until it's perfect. These kids are like, oh, well, Mrs. So-and-so said that I'm not supposed to go to any interviews until my portfolio is perfect with her. And I'm like, that's silly, because nothing is ever perfect, and her idea of perfect is different than so-and-so. So you just need to get out there and start, failing, learning fast, and just learning to, for lack of a better word, pivot, you know? So that's the most important thing you can do, is realize that there's no such thing as perfect. You're never ready, you're never done, and just be thankful for any opportunity that comes, and just, you know, grab it and try it and make the best of it. And that's the other thing, because they're expecting perfection in the school system out of themselves, they're also only willing to settle for the perfect job, which means they're unemployed for forever.
Yeah.
So
it's
and
crazy.
then, so you're like, look, it's not a bad thing to work at that crappy, you know, clipper ad place down the street, because you're going to learn to do really fast layout, and that's going to be great for you. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to stay there forever, but just take what you can, make the most of it, and then use that as a segue to get where you want to go. But you can't just expect perfection to land in your lap, and that's why they get so frustrated, is because they've been required to do that, and then they think that that's realistic to require of others. So I think it's a culture. You have to teach it, you have to lead by example, and you have to just try and hope that they kind of get it by osmosis and through words. So.
Do either of you have a specific process for, like, if you feel yourself wandering away from this ideal, how you kind of...
Usually one of us is just like, you're being a jerk, stop.
It usually starts banging the mouse pad. Somebody starts banging the mouse on the mouse pad, and we're like,
or like the fist on the table, you're like, oh, okay, someone's upset.
You know those moments when you get stuck in something, maybe it's a lengthy, boring project or whatever, you're just getting stuck in it, you can feel that kind of creative energy kind of dissipating. How do you guys, as creatives, get back into that? How do you zone in? What's your kind of method?
Well, one thing I think that's so key is you can't wait to the last minute, because if you wait to the last minute, then you don't have any time to step back and reassess. So that's like the first thing, is if you don't leave yourself time to fail and then like leave time to fix it, then, you know, you're going to get really frustrated. But if you leave time so that if you aren't getting it the first go, you can talk to your friends, just like take a break, do something completely non-design related or non-creative related, and just turn your brain off in a way, then I feel like it refreshes you too. So.
And I think it helps that we have each other. Like, a lot of designers are freelance, and it's really hard because if you get stuck, you feel like you don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. So I always tell all my friends that are freelance designers, like, I'm on Skype all the time, amy.hoodlum, that's who I am. And so I always tell them that they can, you know, send me screenshots, like send me questions, because it really does help having a community of people that you trust their opinions, and they're, you know, they give you like helpful critique, not just like a bashing or an unworthy, maybe like, yeah, it looks great, send it when it needs a little help. So I think just having people in your life, and like this community that we're building here is great, that you can just bounce ideas off others, and when you feel stuck, it's not just, you're not an island, you have people you can go to ask for opinions.
Which is really a healthy characteristic to keep, because as kids we're always used to getting feedback from people that we respect and look up to, but as adults you tend to be like, now I know everything, and it's really hard to take feedback and to be grateful for it and not just be like, don't tell me what to do, you know. So always looking for that and being grateful for when people take the time to tell you something, even if it's totally wrong, be like, thank you for that, you know. I appreciate what you said, and that gave me a better idea anyways. Not your idea, but a new one. So
Can you offer this discussion to the client side?
Right. Well, I think that's super applicable though. Like even just trying to appreciate where someone's coming from. Like if they ask you to use a stupid font, they have a reason. You don't know what it is. It's hard to fathom sometimes why they want to use that stupid font. But if you ask them, okay, so what's your goal? Why do you think that font's a good idea? They're like, oh, well, it looks young, it looks fun, it looks like, a kid drew it, and we're trying to appeal to 10-year-olds. You're like, oh, I thought you were trying to appeal to adults. That makes sense. Like, what if we use this font instead because it has the same, goals attached to it, but it looks a little better in my opinion? Oh, yeah, great, let's do that. So if you can at least appreciate where they're coming from, it's less of a just like, reaction and more of you working with them towards common goals.
If you have a really negative team of people around you, how do you deal with that constant bombardment of their attitude when you're trying to be great?
Yeah, that's hard. I don't know. I mean, we've definitely had to get rid of a few people just purely based off of just attitude. Like they were really talented. And we were like, listen, this is just not working out. You're the most talented, but please leave. But yeah, it's really hard. I think now we've adopted the process of like we subcontract people freelance before bringing them onto the team so that we can see how we work together. And we freelance for a long time over a lot of projects just to see how they handle, setbacks or changes or change orders or whatever. But it's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard, especially if you're not doing the hiring, if you're just kind of a piece in the puzzle that somebody else is putting together. I think that's really hard. But again, just finding the silver lining and remembering what people are good at and remembering people's, maybe their flaws or what they're not great at, and just knowing to kind of give them a little grace and a little space for those. Like, okay, they're not the most patient. Maybe I should not approach them when it's like the end of the day and they want to leave, or I don't know, whatever it is,
So yeah, definitely leading by example too. I think as much as you can, you get burnt out sometimes, but trying as much as you can to give what you want to get back from them.
Awesome. We're super grateful for you guys.
Thanks.
So, thank you everyone for coming out this early. It's 8 o'clock, and I think a lot of people are walking in going, wow, look at everyone here, woke up and got here on time. We're really excited about this. We've been meeting on Wednesdays for a while now, just a smaller group of people, just bouncing ideas off each other, talking about projects we're working on, and we basically were like, hey, we've been discussing, like, let's maybe blow this up a little bigger and invite more people in, and yeah, we want people to come together here, we want people to meet, and we want people to be inspired. And I mean, what you guys just said today, there's a lot of positivity in that, and I just reminded me of a lot of things. And so we're gonna try to do this. We're still meeting every Wednesday here, but we're gonna do once a month, kind of try to blow it out bigger, have some awesome speaker come, and we're designing a site. There's a site being developed right now. It's gonna be ConnectingThings.com. I think there's a little error here, so hashtag is going to be ConnectingThings. But yeah, we're excited about it, and there's going to be a branch in New York that's going to be doing some gatherings like this as well too. And so talk about it, invite people. First Wednesdays, we're going to try to meet up and just do this. And if you guys have suggestions, people you think that inspire you or you would love to hear speak, you can email myself or Josh or Aaron, and there's some cards up front that you can grab. But yeah, we're open to ideas and feedback, or coffee. We had donated by Keil. We had awesome acai bowls from Scott. Thank you for coming out. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let us know.
Those are such great words from Jen and Amy of Hoodzpah, and you need to check out their work if you haven't. I'll have links to their site and some of their work in the show notes. But yeah, just a great reminder that we need to keep our attitudes in check, and we have the power to control that and how we respond to things and how we react to things. So this is going to be happening the first Wednesday of each month at Wolfcamp Studios. We'll have the link to their site as well in the show notes. But hopefully you can come out. It's creatives getting together, and this series called Connecting Things is going to have different speakers each month, and I think it's going to just become a really, really great group. So hope to see you out. I'm Braedon Flynn, and this is the Artist Report.
shut up.